Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Of course, I'm your host, BMR. Joining me is Tex, of course, with Texas Front Porch. It's the day after Christmas show. For all of you out there, hope you had a great Christmas. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube. The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Donnie Cho Says Stuff. Paranormal Paul. Danielle Diva. And Monica Rollins. Our Paranormal World. Brett Thomas. The Paranormal Portal. He is in Minnesota. So it'll be me and Tex. And we got a cool show for you tonight. And we got a conference to talk about just a little bit, as always. And then we got a couple. We're going to discuss a little bit about Bigfoot today and how I found that there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings during Christmas time, and a little story to follow up with that. But before I do that, thanks to everybody that helped out me this Christmas. Yes, my books did pretty well this past couple of weeks, thanks to you guys. Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1 and Book 2, both found on Amazon. Just type Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your browser. It's also pinned in my profile on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. Leave a review for those that have bought it. It does help promote book sales. You can find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are found. If you like our content, would like to help support the show, the super chat's open. You can also become a BMR pirate. Arr, mateys. Thank you for those that are participants in membership. As you all know, you get a little picture of me in the chat room with a bandana. Tex has memberships. The Blondes and Booze have memberships. And as Tex so eloquently coined, you can become a paranormal porch pirate. Speaking of the porch, I'm going to bring up Mr. Wesson. Hello, Tex.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
How's it going?
Not too bad. As soon as I figure out what buttons I'm pushing here, will be good to go. Okay.
Yeah, Tex, I know you had a late night. I think we're all a little tired. I will say this. I love Christmas. I still got my ho, ho, ho thing on here. And, when Christmas falls in the middle of the week, I had people come over my house last night unannounced around 10 o'clock. Yeah. I do love the season. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm burning both candles at both ends, as they say. So I'm getting tired, man. And I'm getting over this cold, which is finally kind of getting out of my system. I've had it for a month. My poor mom, she was a trooper New Year's Eve, still has that a little bit of that pneumonia. And she wasn't really her full mom, She was there. She was a trooper. I think I'm taking her to the doctors tomorrow because they're closed today for whatever the reason, because she just has not gotten rid of this. And we were all a little worried and felt bad for her the other night because, it's just, she loves Christmas with the grandkids, and you know how that goes, Tex. So
yes, I do.
And so, yeah, like I'm saying, boy, I do, again, I do a lot during the Christmas season, and I just cannot, as much as I love when it comes, I love when it starts to slow down, because after this weekend, because good old BMR, I don't do the New Year's Eve thing anymore, Tex. I don't know about you. I typically go out to dinner about 4 o'clock New Year's Eve, and that's it. I don't
go out because I don't feel like dodging the drunks.
I always coin the phrase, it's all those drunks too that are the fly-by-nighters.
Yeah.
They just get all crazy drunk. Trust me, I had a bar for 13 years. That was the worst day of the year for me.
Yep.
Because there was people that I did not even know that came into the place. Half of them were in their early 20s. Now, I remember my early 20s. I was the same way. But, man, they were just, oh, my gosh, I can't wait to shut the bar down,
Well, the problem is you get all the rookie drinkers.
Yeah, rookie. Yeah, you do, man. I tell you what, too. Typically, clean up around the bar was never a big deal because all you needed to do was do the usual tables and chairs, countertops. Do the once over in the bathroom. But New Year, talk about rookie drinkers. The amount of people that got literally sick, and you know what I'm talking about,
Oh
can't
yeah.
handle it, and there's their regurgitation, for the lack of a better word, all disposed in the urinals, the toilet seats, the
Oh
floors.
yeah.
I had to hire a guy just to be on mop up duty just for the bathrooms. I almost was going to shut it down on New Year's Eve, but I was in business to make money, of course, so it was a kind of a profitable day. But outside of that, nightmare city, nightmare city.
Oh yeah. And another thing is, because I was, I worked in the bar business too,
Yes, you
and
did.
along with the sickness and all that kind of stuff, you had to deal with the jealous a-holes that when they got drunk, they thought they were 10 foot tall and bulletproof and
Oh,
had to fight anytime somebody looked at the girl.
oh boy. Yeah, New Year's Eve too. I mean, that does happen in the bar industry once in a while with the younger groups, right? But that's the worst. Yeah, you're bringing back nightmares of those stories too. Yeah, you're right. And you were a bouncer, weren't you, Tex?
I was. I was a bouncer and then I was a cooler.
So you had a lot of you probably had a lot of alterations, I'd have to imagine, or a handful, I would say.
I had a few disagreements in my time. Yes.
That's a tough job. When I told you the story when I got the bar, the first 3 years I had to hire literal biker guys that I happened to be friends with that I knew throughout my life, and they literally had to help me clean up the bar for those first 3 years
Mm-hmm.
because that's a rough crowd. I turned it over from a rough crowd where no one wanted to come in
Right.
because I will tell you this: it was a fight almost every day of the week.
Yep.
And I said, "What did I get myself into with this?" And I almost thought about shutting her down and selling it after a year. But the patience, the perseverance paid off a little bit and finally got it where it was. Then the hard thing that I had to do was tell these 6'4", 225 muscle men bikers that their services were no longer needed. And then I got the, "Oh, well, we'll tell you when your services are not needed." I'm like, "Come on, don't play this." But then I found out they were joking. But I always had one guy that stayed around with me because I always had a doorman on the weekends because the
Right.
weekends still, when it was the rough crowd, still would come in. Or I wouldn't say rough crowd, the naughty group of kids that would come in and just raise hell anyways.
Yeah, you got your you're always going to have your rowdy ones, you
You are.
know. But Rob, I had knives put on me, I had guns put on me,
Mm,
all kinds of stuff, and it's just I don't know. It's we had. I remember. I think it was New Year's Eve. May have been Christmas. I don't remember, but it was one of those. And we had a particularly rough night for some reason. I don't know if the full moon was out or what, but we had 10 fights in 45 minutes.
oh, really?
And,
uh,
you know, I would rather walk into a fight with 6 guys than I would with 2 women
oh,
because you can go break up a bunch of guys fighting
yeah,
and that's fine.
yeah,
They're mad at each other. But you break up 2 women fighting and all of a sudden they're mad. They're both mad at you. They're not mad at
yeah.
each other anymore. They're mad at you. I got to tell you, man, I have came out looking like Swiss cheese out of those things.
Oh boy, yeah.
You know,
I've seen those. I've experienced those as well. And even to make matters worse, we would have guys come into the bar with their girlfriends or wives, right? and they would start treating their wife,
Mm-hmm.
kind of inappropriate. I mean, not good
Oh
at
yeah.
all. So if I didn't, first of all, the first step would have one of my bigger guys go over and try to, simmer them down.
Right.
But you know what would happen? If you got in the guy's face who's clearly close to blowing up at his girl,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
you
yeah.
talk to the dude, now the girl
Was
is
mad at
pissed
you.
off at you
Yep.
for interfering with their fight.
Yep.
Those were terrible too. Those were not cool either.
No.
I could never figure that one out. Still to this day, and I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore, and I had my fun and made a lot of friends, of course. But yeah, those are days that I'll fondly remember, and they're memories today,
Well, and the thing about it is, being a bouncer is not about fighting.
No, it's not.
Being a bouncer is about reading the people when they walk in the door, reading the situations that are going down, and defusing them before they escalate into a physical conversation or confrontation.
Confrontation.
That's what a bouncer is supposed to do. The problem is, you get most of these bouncers that think, "Oh, I'm the baddest thing on the planet," and they just want to beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah,
that's not how you handle things.
No.
In the famous words of Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse, you're nice until it's time not to be nice.
Yep. Fortunately for me, I've been because I used to go out and kind of do some reconnaissance work in other bars, see how they handle that. And I got to tell you, some of the bouncers at the front doors, I didn't like because they automatically gave you, before you enter the establishment, an attitude.
Oh, yeah.
They look at you like, and it's like, well, I'm not coming in here if your doorman is an idiot.
Right.
My guys were big and burly and badasses, but they would smile at you and say, "Welcome to the bar."
Right.
And that's
Which is what they should do. They shouldn't intimidate you going right into the damn bar.
Right. It automatically puts you on a defensive mode already.
Yeah. I would run into, and I still have a bad habit of this, because I don't get intimidated. I'm not the smartest person when it comes to that, and I guess, but when somebody bows up to me like that, and they're just trying to, let's see, how can I put this? When they're trying to, what is that word that's used for dogs? They're trying to put forth their dominance over the situation,
Okay. Show that they're the boss, or that
they're trying to show their dominance.
Yeah.
I find it comical, and I tend to laugh at them,
mm-hmm.
and they don't take that kindly, but
no.
It's
Speaking of dogs, right on cue.
I know, right? There he is. That's our four-legged doorbell. But yeah, I don't understand why people think they got to be that way. It's all ego. That's all it is.
It's 99% ego, and it's even heightened when it's women and men involved. The men just get all.
Oh, absolutely.
But the women, I tell you, they're just as bad in a lot of instances as well. So yeah, I don't miss those days. Certainly,
women are naughty too. That's
yeah, women,
instigators. That's what
they like to rile. They'll like the women on purpose. I've noticed throughout my years of experience are in with their boyfriend, and they will literally go out of their way to act like they're not with their boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so another guy will kind of maybe offer him a drink, or they start flirting, and then they're doing that on purpose because they're mad at their boyfriend. They want to see him get his butt beat. I know this is fact because I've been doing this.
Oh
for
yeah.
so long.
I've seen it.
And it's nothing against women. Women and men they both do it. Dudes do it with their wives or their girlfriends.
There's two things that start more arguments in a bar than anything else. One of them is a girl. That's number one. Number two is a pool game.
Oh, I got rid of the pool table after 6
I
months.
have seen more fights over a 50-cent pool game. Now I know I'm showing my age. Over a 50-cent pool
Well,
game.
it's still about $1. It hasn't gone up that much. Yeah,
That's $1 now, man.
it's still pretty cheap compared to back in the 50 cent. $1 still. But I got rid of my pool table after about 6 months because I saw too many cues being used at the end of the night. And what's
Oh yeah.
even worse, the hurling of the
The cue
weapon,
ball.
which is the cue ball. Which, if you get hit in the head with the cue ball, you're out permanently.
Oh yeah, that stuff will kill you.
Absolutely.
I got a little story for you since we're on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had a regular in one of the bars I worked at. We called him, everybody called him Tiny. He was anything but. He was about 6'7", 6'8", and he weighed every bit of 400
Tiny.
pounds.
Yeah, of course. Tiny, 6'7" or 6'8". Yeah.
He weighed every bit of 400 pounds. He was just a good old country boy.
Yeah.
He was a great artist, and very, very subdued, very soft-spoken guy.
Yeah.
And wore nothing but overalls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And overalls and Converse. That's what he wore. And so these two, and he was an excellent pool player. God, he was an excellent pool player. So he got into a game with a couple of guys, and he beat one of them, and then the other guys, took his turn, and he beat him, and they wanted to renege and crawfish on the bet, and he was trying to talk him out of it. He says, "Look, this ain't right. Y'all made the bet, whatever." But they turned it physical, and one of them, he was talking to one of them, and the other guy walked up behind him and hit Tiny across the back of the neck with a pool cue and broke it.
Yeah.
Tiny turned around and looked at the guy and said, "You shouldn't have done that."
He just like, yeah. All nonchalant.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Cool.
His exact words were, "You shouldn't have done that. You done went and made me mad." Just as monotone as that. Reached out and grabbed one guy by the shirt, the other guy by the hair of the head, put one guy down on the ground, stood on him, hit the other guy, knocked him cold, grabbed the pool table with one arm, turned it over on the guy he was holding down with his foot.
I like it. I like it.
It was literally like having Bigfoot in your bar. I mean, it was.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. Speaking of Bigfoot, we're going to get into that in a minute about Bigfoot during the Christmas season and sightings, and I got a story regarding one. But before we do, Tex, we also have to mention. I see Krista's in the chat room. We've got something coming up, man, and I tell you what, I think that I think it's getting off to a great start already. We've got
and
go ahead.
Well, and the thing about it is, this conference isn't until September, but guys, this is if 2025 flies by as quick as 2024 did, this is right around the corner, folks.
It is. I keep saying 9 months. I think it's down to 7 months, 6 months, something like that. I'm bad with math.
Well, we are right at 9 months because we're fixing to roll the calendar over to 2025.
Okay, well, and with that being said, for those that don't know, this is the flyer. The Crossing Realms Conference, UFOs, Paranormal Cryptids, September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. So yeah, tickets are available on Eventbrite. The link is posted in this show. It's also posted on my YouTube page. And so yeah, go check that out. And we also have our lineup text, which is actually with our special guest, that's even growing. We've added a couple more. I forgot who they are, but first of all, just the guests, featuring the speakers, Josh Hurd he's a filmmaker, author in the paranormal world. Professor Heather Mosier she's a producer over at Small Town Monsters, wonderful gal, been on our shows many times. Frankie and Dan from the Haunted Garage, they're paranormal researchers. They also will be bringing a haunted vehicle to the conference for us all to check out. And of course, there you are, Tex to the right, the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Tex. Greg Ogles, filmmaker, researcher, will be joining us. William Lunsford from Arkansas, the Falk monster legend. Ron Murphy will be talking about elementals and the Fae, and Lady Ann Celine is doing that with him. She's awesome, an awesome person, Lady Ann. Dr. Yeah, she's fabulous. Dr. Dean, I love Dr. Dean. Very fascinating guy. He's on Doug Hijack's show called Talking Weird, and he's a very smart guy, and he's really big time into the UFOs and high strangeness. And he's got a couple documentaries that have been doing pretty well. They're also at the latest film festival that it's doing quite well. He'll be doing that. I think on the Shaver Project. You know, you and I have talked about that with him before.
Yep.
And our special guest, Dana Stricker, psychic medium lecturer. Ken Gerhard will be there. You all know Ken from TV and his books, cryptozoologist. And of course, Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Portal. And we've added a couple more. I don't know. I forgot who they are, to be honest with you.
They are, and I always get this guy's last name. I got to get this down. Being the MC, I've got to get this down.
Yeah.
So, Mike Familiant.
Yes.
Familiant. And our good friend Ryan Edwards.
Yes.
And yeah. And we also have our sponsors that so far, which is Doug Hijack and Mary Lynn Bast, which she will also be there. She's doing a gallery reading. There's a lot of stuff going on in 2 days.
Yeah. And we didn't even mention
we have a gallery reading, we have a conference, we have a ghost hunt. You know,
yeah, we didn't even mention the ghost hunt. And by the way, everybody, at last count, we've only got 4 tickets left for that. And the cool thing about the ghost hunt, we got 2 tickets. Well, news to me.
I heard 2 tickets.
2 tickets left. And the cool thing is we'll all be there, which of course was include me, you, Donnie Cho, Paranormal Paul, I think Daniel Diva, Monica Rollins, of course, the Blondes and Blues, Kristen Brandy will be there. I think I said Donnie Cho. And also, though, all the speakers, you guys, and this is typically a speaker comes in, they do their deal, they leave. You guys, the speakers are going to be there for all 2 days hanging out, y'all. And they're also going to attend the ghost hunt. Yes. So this is there's not a conference out there that's doing what we do. And also, Tex, I don't know about you, Monica's been doing this for several years, and she was telling us that our tickets, our pricing, it can't be beat. As far as inexpensive,
absolutely affordable. As far as conferences go, I mean, I've seen tickets up to $75 or more for conferences with not even half the lineup that we've got. You know,
no,
and so yeah. I mean, it's, and we're also, and I don't want to, you know what, I gotta check with the boss before I say anything, because I always screw stuff up, get it wrong or release it too early. So
yeah, right. No, okay. Well, it's best always to double check, I assume, you know. But again,
I guarantee you, we're gonna have a good time, because. Wow, Missouri Paracon tickets are $350.
Oh, come on.
Compared to ours, which are $35.
$350 versus $35.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is insane.
I wouldn't even bother going. You bring your significant other, you're $700 in a hole, plus travel, plus everything else. I mean, that's crazy. Who are they having there? You know,
There ain't nobody in this world aside Jesus that I'd pay that much to go see. I'm just saying.
Well, I was talked into back when I was married, way back in the day, and this is how expensive these tickets were. The only worst purchase I made, although I did have a great time, it was 250. This was on the cheap end too, Tex. Old Tiger Stadium, Hell Freezes Over tour with the Eagles. The wife loved the Eagles, and I got 2 tickets here, 250 a piece, and this is back in like the 90s. I can't imagine what they would have sold for here in
So that's
2024.
yeah, to at least a $500 ticket nowadays, at least.
So yeah, I can't see that.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've got you can get VIP seating. That's an option also. It's like the first 3 rows or something like that with for our stuff, and it's just
a few more dollars. Yeah.
I remember going to what was called the Texas Jam, and this was back in the 80s, and it was one of these festival things that it was at the Cotton Bowl, the historic Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
And for some reason they held it in July, and but when I went, it was, I think it was Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, either Sammy Hagar, or they jammed together because one of them was visiting. It was either Sammy Hagar, I think it was Sammy Hagar, and then David Lee Roth came to jam with him or something like that.
Oh wow, that's pretty nice on you.
Yeah. And Night Ranger. I think there was 5 bands, maybe 6. And I think I remember the tickets being like $25.
Yeah, see.
Here
in Michigan, again in the 80s, we did Ozfest in Taylor, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Big old field, $5, man.
Did y'all get sprayed down with fire hoses? Because they sprayed us down with fire hoses.
Oh, we got blasted. I did not get blasted. I wasn't that close.
I had this girl on my shoulders. I didn't know who she was. She was just random. I had this girl on my shoulders. She had her shirt off, and next thing I know, she gets hit, and then I get hit. We both go back. And those crowds like that down on the floor and stuff, those are dangerous, man.
This dangerous. Yep. That was the original mosh pits.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I love the fire hydrants because they'd blast all the women in the summer wearing T-shirts. Yeah, that was always a sight to behold. But yeah, we won't go further on that. But yeah, so it's always a good time. But tickets, yeah, $5-10, man. I paid it. Went like 2-3 years in a row. I saw Sticks for $5 back when they were, Sticks.
Yeah, I went and saw back in like 06, I think it was 05, 06. I went and saw Def Leppard, Sticks, and Foreigner all together. And Sticks was absolutely awful.
Oh man.
Foreigner and Def Leppard were really, really good, but Sticks was just awful. They can't sing anymore, so they turn the music up so loud you can't hear their voices. It's kind of like me singing karaoke.
Well, you have a brilliant voice, and you might hear Tex sing here in another 9 months or so. So yeah, so great way to start the show. We're all kind of burning candle at both ends. At least I've been. I can't wait for, as much as I love the holidays, I'm glad it's wrapping up this weekend because I don't really do the New Year's Eve thing as we talked about earlier. So, hey, so Tex, for this show, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And I was looking up like some things on Bigfoot to talk about as far as, and I came across, and I'll be honest with you, I was thumbing through both of my books because I heard something that reminded me of a story I did on some other podcast. And I said, damn, this sounds very familiar what I did. So I'm going through my books. I didn't find that. But what I found, though, there's like 100 in both books, you guys, there's about 100 encounter stories. And I got to say, Tex, that just not even thinking, I'm just rifling through the book. I came across 10 or 11 encounter stories in the books that all took place during Christmas, during the Christmas week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that's in the book, and I kind of remember that writing these. I was remembering Christmas as I'm thinking that to myself. So I looked up some stats and on different websites. The BFROI did look on that, and I looked at it on a couple others. And do you know that in the month of December, particularly closer to Christmas, and it didn't matter if it was in a state that had a lot of snow or if a state that, didn't where it was in it didn't have as much snow, a lot more reports spiked up by about 20%, Tex. I think that's a significant number, man. 20% in a 2-week time frame between like December 20th through maybe the end of December. So I was kicking back and trying to just think and why that would be, right? And I didn't really come up with a lot of thoughts or theories on it. How does that strike you right out of the gate? I mean, because those numbers, I mean, the numbers are posted. Anyone can look them up. Found a lot in my books and other podcasts that I listened to. I was kind of more listening toward that. Why do you think that is? You think that there's a reasoning? Because mostly, Tex, a lot of people experience Bigfoot during the spring, summer, and early fall. Not a lot in the winter.
Well, I think part of it is you don't have as many people out there camping during the winter and everything. Um, of course, I don't know. And it may be, I don't know. It may be that it's in the mountain regions. It may be because they're coming down out of the mountains and they see more on the road crossings and that type of thing. They may be doing more dumpster diving, that type of stuff.
Well, I'm glad you brought that point up because I was thinking the same thing. I said, well, there shouldn't be a spike of 20% in December when people are not camping. I mean, unless you're just a rugged mountaineer and you're just a man of the wilderness, I'm sure people, maybe some researchers are actually out in the woods or in the mountains during the winter. I'm sure there are.
We
But
will
what
be
you
in January.
in
Keep
January,
saying.
well, which is God frigid. But anyways, you brought up a great point. Most of these sightings happen on people's properties where they would see Bigfoot from the tree line just coming out and also coming up closer to their property. And it was mostly local residences. And the other one, which you mentioned, Bigfoot crossing the road. But I
Mhm.
found it very interesting that a lot of these Sasquatch or Bigfoot were coming from the tree line on a person's property wherever they live, and they actually spotted these, which leads up to kind of a really cool uh story I read, encounter I read. It's not from my book or not. I just happened to find it, right? And I'm gonna clue everybody. I'm gonna clue everybody in on it.
So let's hear it.
So it was this family. I think the state was it wasn't the Pacific Northwest. It was more Midwest. It was not Michigan. I'm thinking it might have been somewhere in Ohio. So this family had their home in the middle of the forest, one of the national parks out there, where you could buy land and or state, whatever it was. And now the person, I guess, was into Bigfoot. He wasn't a researcher, but was a believer, this, that, and the other. And oftentimes during the summer and spring of the sun, would go out and traverse about, kind of looking for Bigfoot, looking for evidence. They never came up with anything, and this, that, and the other. I mean, there wasn't their job. It was just, like most people, just a fancy, right? Whatever, to pass time. So again, I remember this was right around Christmas time, right around Christmas Eve or even Christmas Day, where the family's out. It was the snow was kind of coming down, billowy, and they had an enclosed deck with a fireplace inside, so it kept the place nice. So nice atmosphere. Looking at the snow falling off the trees in the distance of their property at the woodline, and then all of a sudden, he sees this huge figure emerge from the wood line, and he goes over to his wife. Boy, that's a real big guy, and he's that's some big fur coat he has on. Then the wife says, "I think that's a bear came out and he's standing up." He goes, they're looking, and he tells one of his kids, "Hey, quick, go grab the binoculars, go find Dad's binoculars really quick." And so, but then the husband says to the wife, "That's not a bear," because now he's starting to walk, and he's walking through like 3 feet, 4 feet of snow very nimbly. We've all seen a bear walk, right? It looks like a toddler walking on two legs, right? Very, wobbling back and forth. This thing was distinctly walking. So all of a sudden, another hair covered humanoid looking creature or a person or whatever, again, don't know what it is, comes out and is following behind. And so there's a bigger one and a smaller one. And he yells up to his kid, "Come on, get those binoculars. We can't zoom in on this, but they know now they can't be bears. They're too nimble walking through the snow." Then the both of these, I'm gonna just call them Bigfoot, if you will. They kind of stop and they look back into the tree line as though they're waiting for something else. And now two smaller ones comes out, which apparently, according to this guy, they're guessing if these are in fact Bigfoot, they're the kids. They're small. They have to be kids. It has to be a family coming out, going for a walk along the tree line. And so all of a sudden, the kids finally come down with the binoculars. Now, of course, Tex, when the kids come down with the binoculars, guess what happens? This alleged family of four kind of disappear back into the tree line, of course, right? But he's still sitting there intent with his wife and just waiting and watching. Well, hopefully they reappear again. So sure enough, the two smaller ones come out first. And then right in back of them, Tex, appears the other two much bigger ones. First, it was one of them came out and it was dragging something behind it. He pulls up. Now he has the binoculars and he zooms in on the two smaller ones. He goes, "Honey, I think this is a family of Bigfoot. I mean, they're not bears whatsoever. They're tall, they're big, they're burly. And he's kind of zooming best he can. He says they have like a fleshy looking face. There's no snout, no nothing." And then he was amazed because, again, one of the bigger ones is now dragging something behind it, Tex. And it's, as he zooms in with binoculars, it's a tree. It's an uprooted tree that this Bigfoot is pulling. He says, "Rob," or it doesn't say Rob, it's not one of my people, it's something I was reading. "Hey, it's like a nice sized tree. I don't know, 20 feet long, maybe. I don't know. Just guesstimating." And then the other one appears, comes out, Tex, with another tree uproot. It's dragging. So the two little ones are up front, and the dad is kind of like pointing on, directing them where to walk down the tree line. So this guy is zooming in, tells the wife, "Grab a camera, this, that, and the other." She goes scrambling for a phone or a camera, and they're walking down the tree line. He says, "Rob, they walk maybe 30, 40 yards because he had a very expansive backyard backing up to the tree line." And they're walking, they're walking. And then the one leading with the tree, the two little ones were leading, and he was directing the young ones. And all of a sudden, he kind of stops and he kind of points like a human being into ahead is where to turn in. So the two youths, right? They get in back of mom. They get beside mom and dad, one in the front, one in the second, and they forge out this path. I guess the one Bigfoot just takes an arm and just kind of opens it up, drops the tree, opens like a path you break into, and now drags these 20, 25-foot trees upended back into the woods. This guy's like, "Wow, that's amazing." Wife gets some pictures, of course, blob squatch, blurry, not really good. Whatever. We've all heard that song and dance. The man found it amazing. He gets on his snowmobile after they're cleared and he goes out to the path and he sees it was the tracks. He really can't make out tracks. Before the trees were brought into this whole game, he did see some oversized feet. It looked like feet, oversized, cool, whatever. But then the other tracks were kind of brushed away with the dragging of the trees. He sees the pathway, the opening. He can't take his snowmobile back there. He gets off the snowmobile. He goes back walking in there, and he kind of sees where, it was kind of a pathway was made leading way deep into the forest. But he stops to venture. Snow's deep. He didn't have the right snowmobile boots on or anything like that, or walking shoes. Turns around and he's all excited. Hey, honey, yeah, we have a family of Bigfoot, I think, around here. What are they doing with those trees? We have no idea. So they're excited. And so every day for the rest of the winter, they're out panning the woodline with their binoculars. Nothing happens the rest of the year. Springtime now comes. And hunting season, springtime comes, not hunting season, excuse me. Spring simply rolls around. And now the man goes out, into the woods. He's thinking that maybe, because what he knew about Bigfoot is tree structures, right? How sometimes they make these structures we've all heard about. So, can you hear me okay? Oh, never mind. So he goes out looking in the woods. He doesn't go very deep in the woods, doesn't see anything. Then maybe several weeks later, the spring and summer go by. He doesn't find anything. But now hunting season rolls in. His friend comes over, and they're going to go hunting. And the man that was telling the story said he never ventured no more than maybe a mile into the woods for whatever the reason. I don't know, but that was his comfort level. But he told his friend this story all along about what he experienced that prior Christmas. So he says, yeah, let's investigate a little deeper. You've been in here about a mile in. Let's just go off trail. Let's just look. Day one, nothing. The buddy comes back the next weekend. They go try another spot. And lo and behold, guess what he finds? This guy, as he's telling the story. He finds two trees uprooted, but the bulbous ends of the roots, they're at the top, and there's an X, and the other ones are jammed into the ground. He says about a 25-foot structure. Now, Tex, you and I know you for sure, the structure thing, and you can take it or leave it. Now, if you've seen one 50 feet high, something did that. Right? But what I thought was cool about this is, because we all hear about the structure stories and such, to me, that's a little more relevant and maybe a little more better evidence brought to light. Guy claims 4 Bigfoot dragging trees, and finally, during hunting season, obviously does not know if they're the same trees. However, what's the odds that are there in the shape of what we all heard today as an X? Right. So I thought that was a cool story, and I think it gives some credence to this story, and maybe this was a clan of Bigfoot. Maybe they did indeed create that X, make it, whatever.
No, I think it's very possible. I mean, it's seems like a big coincidence.
Well, yeah, for sure. The thing, you go ahead.
You were talking about the guy venturing, just a mile into that. That's quite a.
That's quite a walk. That's
yeah,
quite.
Right.
Just a mile is a long time. It's long in the woods.
It is. It is, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said it as just a mile, big deal. No, that is 1 mile is deep.
Yeah, I mean, it takes you about 4 times longer to traverse into the woods than it does just walking a mile.
Yeah.
So you're talking a few hours in.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the distance, it's how dense it gets when it gets in there. And I mean, you you get 100 yards or less into some thick woods, and you're isolated. Not. It's kind of like space. Nobody can hear you scream.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, and again, if I knew more about the backstory, maybe it was a mile trail, right? Which would be a lot
Maybe.
easier to walk.
Oh
And
yeah,
maybe these
absolutely.
guys went off the trail.
But if you're off trail a mile deep, you're
That's
humping.
some serious exploration.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people. I've noticed this with a couple of not all. Somebody that knows the woods, is used to be in the woods and everything. It doesn't get they don't overestimate the distance that they're in, because a lot of people, they'll estimate how deep they are in the woods just by time. Well, that doesn't work, because like I said, you can't you can't travel going through the brush as fast as you can just walking on a road or a trail. So it may feel like you're miles in, but you're probably not.
Yeah, you could be in the woods 2 hours and think you went, oh my God, all this mighty traveling you did. And maybe you only went 100 yards, literally,
Yeah.
you know. Excuse me. But I
Yeah,
thought that
Lucy
was pretty
was
cool.
right. A mile in the woods, you could lose your bearings and you may not ever be seen again.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember, there's people that go off the trail just 100 yards, and they go missing for years. Perfect example is that woman that was on the Appalachian Trail. They found her tent they found her camp like 200 yards off the trail, like a few years later, after they had launched a massive search for her. So that right there ought to tell you something.
Absolutely, you should. Oh, I let my mom in the back door to get back from the doctor. So entertain them for about 30 seconds.
I can do that. So, it's one of the best. And if you don't know how to use them, they're a great tool. They're called Ranger beads, and they don't take up any room. They weigh nothing, but it's what you count more. You count steps more than you do, time, and it's it allows you to know, pretty close to how many clicks you travel, and it keeps you. Yeah, right. See, Nathan knows what I'm talking about. They're very, very useful. In fact, I need to get me a new set. But if you're going to be out in the woods, if you're going to be walking through, look into them. You can make them yourself, but look into them, how to use them and stuff like that. They're very, very. I said clicks, freaky, not clocks. But they're very, very useful if you're going to be off trail and everything. So it's a very, very useful tool, because you can't always rely on, and I think that this is a mistake a lot of people, and we talked about this, is a mistake a lot of people make, is they rely too much on technology. Get you a set of Ranger beads, get you an old, reliable compass, learn how to use it, and you got a better chance than normal than of not becoming one of the missing. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, I didn't really hear what you're saying. I was going to bring up a lot of the 411 cases.
Yeah. Well, and I was telling everybody about Ranger beads.
Okay.
And they're a tool used by, the Army Rangers to keep track of how far they follow, but how far they travel by step instead of time. They're very light. They don't take up any room. You can make them yourself, and it lets you can keep pretty good track of how many clicks you go into the forest. How many kilometers you travel. So and I was saying, if you got a set of Ranger beads and a good old fashioned compass, odds are you're not going to end up one of the lost unless something really freaky happens to you.
Yeah. I tell you what I would do now is if I was to do something that venture deep into even if it's
Yes, Nathan.
even if it's 50 yards, I want one of those beacons, right? Where you can
those can be lifesavers. Absolutely.
And even if you're been doing this for 30 years, even hunters,
Mm-hmm.
You hear stories about hunters. And I've had stories told to me, brought into me about hunters. 6 years, same location.
Yeah,
they're property. All of a sudden, guess what happens? A lot of times they lose sense of where they're at, like they're in a different part of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether they're getting delirious or whether they walk through a portal, if we're going that route, who knows? But it can happen just like on the open water. On the open water, especially on the Great Lakes, if you don't know where you're going, you can't see land to the north, the south, the east, the west. And if your navigation system goes down, and it could be daytime, it doesn't matter. You can totally get turned around. Or if at night's worse and there's no moon or stars out because it's overcast and cloudy.
I was watching a show and ran across something that's very, very interesting. Kind of getting off the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
It's more of a shipwreck type thing. And there's a place called the Goodwin Sands. And it's a very, very interesting place. And there are, let's see if I can't remember the number. I don't want to get it wrong. Let's see, real quick. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. According to most, now it's called the Goodwin Sands, and it's a notorious shipwreck graveyard. Okay.
I mean, the location is where again? Where was this again?
The Goodwin Sands is over. Let's see, Goodwin Sands location. I want to get this right. Well, that's not what I wanted.
Is it the ocean or is it a lake?
Yes. It's in the English Channel, about 6 miles off the coast of Kent, England.
Okay.
So it's not like it's, remote, right? But there are according to most sources, there's over 2,000 shipwrecks in this area.
Wow.
And it's a set of sandbanks that shift. And you can watch, there's documentaries on this stuff, and you can watch the waves roll in and the amount of sand that's being transferred and everything. The nickname of this place is the ship swallower, because these ships one of the main problems is they'll get grounded and then the tide goes out and they'll break in half. But there's countless ships that have been lost there and lost the entire crew. There's even tales of ghost ships showing up every 50 years. And these are, and the thing about these, this is very, very interesting, folks. I mean, it's just awesome reading and research if you want to look into it. These have been reported they're in the ghost ship sightings have been reported in official military records.
Okay.
to the point to where the not only the captain but the ship's crew saw these ghost ships and put them in the official record and got chastised by the government, and they're saying that this didn't exist, and they got raked over the coals for putting them in their official report. It's crazy. You really, if you want to look into something that's really interesting, really mysterious, look into the Goodwin Sands shipwrecks. It's crazy.
Have these people been reported missing?
Well, missing, dead. I mean, there was a point to where there was a whole armada of ships that crashed on this thing, and there were thousands of bodies washed up on the shore.
Oh, wow.
There was like almost, I think it was like 1,200. It was either 1,200 or 2,400 people that were lost at the same exact time, and it was insane. And there were a few survivors, but it was just like I said, that they would get caught on these sandbars in high tide or get blown onto them and that's what happened with the Armada. This, once in 100-year storm come through and blew the whole Armada onto these sandbars, which is about 6 miles off the coast. And when the tide goes down, they break in half, and the crew members drowned. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, and there's a lot of protected wrecks on there that people can go look at if you want to chance it. But yeah, look up that. It's if you want to look, it's pretty crazy. I know it's off the subject, but it's
really fine. Cool. I mean, we can we talk about
really
everything.
Cool subject.
Yeah, you know how we roll. All this stuff is fascinating. I mean, we talk about everything on all the shows really nowadays. And since you brought that up, and I don't have all the details, but we've all heard the one story, one of the most famous stories. Well, Lake Michigan has we have a Michigan Triangle in Lake Michigan, right?
Yeah, you do.
We big time. And however, I'm not really getting to that at this juncture. The Bermuda Triangles is the one story we've all heard of that's it's a mystery till today. That text I cannot pinpoint. It took place way back in the 50s, where it was that squadron of planes over the Bermuda Triangle, naval aircraft, a squad of, I think it was 8 planes.
Yeah, I think
and they were in communication with the base, on the mainland. And I believe, I'm not so sure where they were flying. I want to believe it was.
Well, they weren't even. They were supposed to just fly out and come back to another part of Florida or something like that. It was supposed to be a routine flight.
It was a routine flight. Yeah, Tex, and they lost communication. Right. First, it was made mention though that they were in a part over the Bermuda Triangle, and they were unfamiliar. I think they brought up that they couldn't see at one point the ocean.
Yeah.
Right? For whatever, that was a communication. Again, I'm not 100% with my facts, but they disappeared. They disappeared off the radar back at the home base of Florida. They were supposed to turn around, right, Tex? Right. And they figured out that they were way, way off course as a fact, and they should not have been. Like they got delusional or something, and the planes never made it back to the base of Florida. They went out and searching. They've been searching up till today, Tex. These naval officers and pilots, neither their bodies nor the planes have ever been founded. Now that's weird, man.
It is, and one of the theories is they got out there and they got turned around and they ran out of fuel and they ditched in the ocean and all of them
Yeah.
died. Another theory is they got out there, they some kind of phenomenon that made their navigation stuff go crazy, and again they ran out of fuel. There's also a theory out there that they made it back to Florida and crashed in the swamp somewhere. And then you've got the whole methane gas theory that not only affects ships and boats, but also aircraft. That if a big enough methane pocket releases and bubbles up out of the ocean, and the squadron or plane gets caught in it, it sets it on fire and instantly blows them to pieces.
Wow.
So there's a lot of theories out there. A lot.
I've heard a lot about the swamp gas being released, or people coming across that in the swamps, Louisiana, the bayous of Florida, bayous of Louisiana, swamps of Florida, where a lot of people, think that might be something paranormal, when in fact a lot of times it's that methane gas, whatever it does, it causes illusions or mini explosions.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the thing about it is, even out in the oceans, that if you have a pocket, I don't care how big the boat or ship is, if you have a big enough pocket of methane that breaks loose from the floor and bubbles up, you lose your buoyancy, and there is no warning. You have no chance to radio or nothing. You go straight down.
You go straight down. I heard that there's a craft, does the vessel blow up or just sucks you down into the pocket?
Well, the boat, as far as the ship goes, you're just under. You're just one second you're there, 1 second you're gone, because there's nothing to keep you afloat. The methane gas displaces the water, and you're gone. Oh, it's like driving off the edge of the world.
It's just sinking right to the bottom.
Yeah. Wow. There's no chance to do anything. So. But the planes, if they hit a methane gas, if they're low enough and they hit a methane gas pocket that bubbles up and sets it on, touches it off, you're gone.
Yep. I remember reading it on that before. I seen something on that as well. You never know. I mean, you could be out, hey, thank God this has never happened. Even these cruise ships setting sail. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine a cruise ship with 1,200 people aboard? Or any loss of human life is tragic. But can you imagine you're on vacation with your family, you hit one of these pockets out in the ocean, and boom, that's it.
Yeah, could happen.
It could happen. It could happen. Hopefully we never see that. And, getting back to a little bit on the Michigan Triangle, in 1994, I always find this fascinating because it did take place in Michigan. It was about the 1994, UFO sightings, right? And this guy was calling it in. All of a sudden, it blips on his radar, and at first, people were calling in to this local weather facility along the coast up here, Lake Michigan. There was like 300 reports in an hour about strange objects in the sky, but not one, Tex, not two, literally hundreds of them. So this guy, his name was Ray Bushong, he's on his radar and he sees all these strange blips. And then couldn't make out what it was. And there's cool audio on it. You can find it on YouTube somewhere about this guy. Oh my God, I cannot believe this. So he's calling all these other weather people, and now people are coming and saying, yeah, there's now seeing literally an armada of these UFOs over Lake Michigan, and they're darting up and down all around. And on this guy's radar, he could track the radar that says they're going 30,000 miles per hour, or they're jettisoning 30,000 feet in the air in an instant and jarting back down, right?
Right.
And so it just so happens this year, and so many 300 people called this in within a minute, couple hours. But the amazing thing that I find about this, talking about the Michigan Triangle, these are these little craft or whatever, they got together and they form like a triangle squadron, and they're hovering above Lake Michigan. And this was reported for some people that are out there watching from visually from their standpoint, vantage
Right.
point, wherever they were. And this guys could see on the radar. And on Lake Michigan, now, the Great Lakes do not 100% freeze over, everybody, because there's a lot of, it's really, you'd have to have a bitter, bitter cold. I mean, you're going to get sheets of ice that float on the Great Lakes, but the
Right.
entire Great Lakes is not solid over. It's just not. Parts are, yeah, there's still a lot where it's still water. But there was part on the Great Lakes that was kind of covered with these ice chunks. And then, according to several witnesses, that this aircraft, they formed together and they charted and went directly into Lake Michigan, into a part of where the water had opened up from the ice. And as instantly as they vanished into Lake Michigan, on the guy's radar, viewing the radar, he's seen them on the radar disappear just as quickly. Right. And he didn't know where they went. They just all of a sudden were gone. Later, the reports came in. Hey, these things went into Lake Michigan. So, long story short, they went out, whether it was our military or maybe it was the Coast Guard, and they went out literally diving in the spring when it was a lot safer, a little cool, when the water wasn't frigid, right?
Right.
Looking for some of the vessels. Now, Lake Michigan really is one of the shallower lakes. I mean, I think there are parts out in the middle and might get 1,000 feet, but this was like maybe a mile or two right off the coastline, which is no deeper in some points, Texas, like 120 feet. That's some
Right.
spots. Could not find anything. And that was one of the biggest mysteries here in Michigan with the Michigan Triangle. From this reasoning only, so many hundreds of people called this into the Weather Channel, and so many people visually seen them flying in their neighborhood. People that lived off the coast see them flying over Lake Michigan. They literally seen this armada. Boom. I mean, and hundreds of people said the same thing, much like we hear about Bigfoot. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of these stories all made sense, right?
Right.
So I must tell you that that's still fascinating. What it was, I don't know. I'm not suggesting it's anything UFO, extraterrestrial. I don't know, but very intriguing. And in this section of the Great Lakes, the Michigan Triangle, is where 98% of all of our wrecks from ships and from aircraft have gone down. And it almost makes me not want to go on Lake Michigan because, the Michigan Triangle covers probably about 30% of the entire Lake Michigan,
Yeah. It's strange that we have these areas, and they're called triangles.
Yeah.
But you have the Michigan Triangle, you have the Bermuda Triangle, you have what is that one on the East Coast up there?
Bennington Triangle.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that's
there's
why I don't know if
so
that's what
many
you're
of them.
thinking about, New England, yeah. And the
But
Bennington Triangle is crazy, but that now, I'm sorry, Texas, that does not involve water, but that's another section of Bigfoot reports,
yeah,
paranormal reports, missing people reports. You can find missing people reports on that. Bigfoot dating back to the 1700s. Supposedly, that land in the Bennington Triangle was cursed land, and
hmm
the land was not, the settlers were cursed. Your children, it would be barren lands. Your women that lived there would not produce children. Lots of crazy creepiness in the Bennington Triangle, which is outside the Greenland Mountains, in the Vermont area. Very creep. Very. I did a story
um,
on that years ago.
Boondock Mojo Corey Cole asked you, have you ever heard of the story about the massive tank tracks in one of the Great Lakes? I've never heard that story.
I don't know. I'd be interested in hearing that one day, Corey. You can email it over. The massive tank tracks on the bottom of the floor of the lake.
Yeah, evidently.
No, never heard that one. I never
Hello,
heard that
Finch.
before.
Um,
Yeah, Johnny, the Alaskan Triangle. That's another one.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it does sound pretty cool. Of course, the state of Michigan, kind of like Texas, we got a lot of weird stuff going on. Mine's doubly weird just because I'm surrounded by all the seas. You know, they were seas. You know, the Great Lakes were salt water at one time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and what I thought it was interesting that you're talking about, the shallow part. It's not really that's deeper than most of the deepest lakes in Texas.
Okay.
So I mean, I
Now
can't. It is hard for me to fathom a lake being big enough to where it's over 1,000 feet deep and you can't see from one shore to the other.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Hell, Lake Erie is even like that, which is my
Oh
closest
yeah.
one. And that guy has like 30-foot depths. I don't think it gets over 580 because it's more flat. But still, though, it's humongous. I mean, again, you can do a 360, man, and not see land. You can,
Well, any body of water that is able to, uh, accompany the size of ships that y'all run up and down these lakes, it's crazy. I mean, look at the famous wreck, Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yes.
It was
And
huge.
so I was reading this text because I always research on the Great Lakes, Lake Superior. And I'm just talking about Lake Superior, everybody, not Michigan and Huron and Erie and Ontario, which is got depths text of 1,600 feet deep.
That's
Lake,
insane.
Lake Superior. It's got so much water. I was reading this that if it were to spill over, just the amount of water in just Lake Superior would cover all the way up to the Ohio Valley, and you would stand in about 3 inches of water covering. That's the enormity, the gallonage of just that lake alone, all the way to the Ohio Valley, and you'd be standing in puddles of water from Lake Superior up to about an inch. Now I can't fathom that.
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
That is crazy.
I don't. And the thing about it is, you don't think. I mean, I've been out on the ocean and stuff like that, but that's just to me, that's a different, it would be a different feel. Now, I haven't been up to the Great Lakes. I want to go because I had to come visit you.
Yeah.
And,
Cool.
but I want to go, out on the Great Lakes and experience that. I want to go see them. It's just being on a body of fresh water that is that big. And they still do have a salt content to them, but it's really nothing more than what we have in certain rivers down here,
Yeah.
But, so you got, but like you said, they used to be salt water.
Used to be many, yeah, because really it was dredged out by the glaciers from, I
Right.
believe it was from the Arctic Circle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is from the ocean, really, essentially.
Right.
It's very cool history on the formation of the Great Lakes. If you all are interested in that, yeah, look it up. You can just type that in on the website. It's very fascinating how they all got forged and formed. I mean, it really is. And also, they say that. Did you see this? Another interesting tidbit that you know that Niagara Falls, when it first originated, because of erosion and the
Mm-hmm.
gallonage of water, which is millions upon millions just of gallons is rolling off of the fall. But since it was first again dredged out, I think it was also a glacier. Do you know that since it's lost over 250 feet it's moving closer and closer
Yeah,
back.
it loses like, what is it, like
It's like a
3
half
feet
inch
a
a
year or
year,
something
three
like that?
something, yeah, whatever the numbers are. Isn't that crazy? Mother Nature, the power of water.
Yeah. And that is one force of nature that people underestimate all the time. That's why you hear about so many people getting swept away in flash floods. They underestimate the power of water because hydraulic power is no joke. No joke.
And
We're gonna have to. You know what we ought to do? We ought to do a show on just the Great Lakes stuff.
no, I've been studying up on a lot of it for moving forward for different, shows and stuff. And not to mention, man, it really is so fascinating. And then of course with the Great Lakes, you can always mix in all the creepiness of the Great Lakes with the haunted islands, the haunted um what do you call it?
Well, I mean, you got what? Not too far from there, you got what Dogman Island.
Do I have the Dogman Island not too far where I live? It was a fantastic story. It's in my books, and I've told it before. I might revisit that one and tell it again for everybody on the show because I know a lot of people. Since I did that, it was almost 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
I know I had a lot of newer subscribers. That was crazy, but a great story. Great story. But we also have that, and in Michigan, of course, Wexford County, Dogman
Mhm.
capital. We've got Bigfoot. We got haunted restaurants in Traverse City all along our shorelines. And what the hell? I can't think. I feel like a dummy. I can't think of the lighthouses, haunted lighthouses
Right.
all
There's
across our,
several of
our
them.
coast.
Yeah.
They're all over. Oh, yeah. Mackinac Island's another one I'm going to do a deep dive on because that's haunted. And do you know that during winter, like 1,000 people live there during the winter because it's more of a tourist nation. Hey, Gemini, haunted lighthouses. Yes, Gemini. Um, but we've got a lot of haunted and strange things. But what was I talking? Again, Mackinac Island is allegedly cursed that we took from, of course, American Native Americans. Isn't always this? It's always was the white man took over land and then we got our lands cursed. Just
Right.
like in the forests out here, certain sections are cursed.
Well, look at
It's just
Kentucky.
crazy.
I mean,
Oh gosh, cursed land. Yes.
yeah. But talking about Michigan, um, y'all got some crazy stuff that happens up there for some reason. It's and we still have yet to do the show on the Michigan child murders.
Oh well, that'll be one for your for your other show. But yeah, that's
We ought to plan on doing. Let's just plan on doing that next show.
for your
Yeah.
I can look the stuff up for you. Yeah, I can prepare it all up, and you
Yeah.
can obviously dive into it. But that's I
No,
almost
I
thought,
want you on there.
oh yeah, I'll come out and do it. I to this day, man, I thought that the guy almost abducted me or tried to because his
Yeah.
vehicle fit the profile, man,
Right.
of what happened to me. Yeah, it was absurd. Yeah, very absurd. That was a creepy experience, especially after the police told my dad it fits this guy, man.
Right.
But it was weird because it was in Oakland County. Actually, it's called the Oakland County Child Murders. I
Right.
live in Wayne County. So it was kind of not his area. Who's to say that he didn't expand? But majority of his murders, I think there was like 16 of them, were all in Oakland County.
Yeah.
Until this day, they don't know that the man they arrested was even the right guy who died in jail. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you run it. That they'll and I don't want to jump off into the true crime thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
I got you.
But um, you have so many false confessions out there by people.
Mm.
And law enforcement is under such pressure to solve these cases that, like, okay, well, we got a confession, done deal. And a lot of times they just stop the case and they don't have the right guy. And the killer will usually does one or two things. He either kills again to prove them that they don't have the right guy because he wants recognition for what he's doing, or they move to another area and continue on. So
to just to throw the police off of the trail.
Right. It's like BTK. They arrested a guy and he sent in a letter saying, look, how many, this is, and he had inside information that only the killer and the police would know. And he sent in a letter and some trinkets of the trophies that he had that, he was mad because he wasn't getting the recognition for the killings. That's where the narcissistic side of these folks come in. And then you got the other side of it. They'll take advantage of the fact that, okay, well, they think they got the right guy. I'll just move into another area and continue what I'm doing.
And isn't a lot of these guys want to get caught eventually, don't they?
Some of them, they and when they do get caught, that's why they confess, because they're proud of what they've done. And a lot of times that's how the police get the confessions, is they're real friendly towards them. And
thanks, Maggie.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's it's like Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, when he confessed, he was proud of himself. He thought he saw himself as doing the job that the police couldn't. Cleaning up the neighborhood, basically. And that's what he told him.
I've also heard stories where the serial killer, I don't know which one it was. I mean, we're just, talking off the cuff here, but that the police literally would on purpose not give him the time of day or tell his story or give him any public notoriety just to infuriate them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know that's all they wanted, was to be a famous, although I wouldn't call them famous, but an infamous killer, if you will, right? And they deny them that. And a lot of these guys, their alleged handiwork, then they say was all done for naught because they want to be celebrity, which is just insane to even talk, like that, right?
Yeah.
To want to be known for all this. But yeah, so it's always interesting. That show, by the way, TEX does, it's on Sundays, correct?
Yep. Obese Tuna, thank you very much.
Thank you, Obese Tuna. Awesome.
We also have, and I think we missed this one, Josh Castro has been a member for 6 months.
Thank you, Josh Castro.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I figure. Mr. Castro, as I like to call him. He's got a lot of cool stories, Tex. I think he's told a couple on your show, hasn't he? Or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I think I've seen him somewhere. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Good opportunity. If you are new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World on each show, Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul, and Daniel Diva, which is having
tea time with Duchess Danielle.
Tea time. That's that's a mouthful. Tea time with Duchess Danielle. Very nice. Chuck, speaking of lakes, oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. We were talking about the Great Lakes and how you've never been and like to check them out. Are all of your lakes in Texas man-made?
Supposedly all but one, and that's Caddo Lake.
I was about to say that, the one I was at, right?
Exactly.
Because that has alligators in it. I don't
Oh
think
no,
we would
we
put
have alligators in every lake in Texas.
Oh, you do?
Oh yes.
Did they
Oh
migrate
yeah.
over then? You guys didn't put them in.
Well, most of our lakes are dammed up portions of a river, so they travel.
Oh, okay. And they find their way through the tributary system, and
Right,
boom,
right.
there they are.
Yeah.
And I've looked
So,
on a map. I guess I haven't looked hard enough. How many lakes do you guys have?
I had one. I really don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Because last time I flew over Texas, I must have been on when I flew into San Antonio many years ago.
There's
You
over
just remind
7,000 lakes in Texas.
Oh, geez. And they all must be on your side because they're not over San Antonio, are they?
Oh, there's quite a few down there.
Well, I know there's the Riverwalk, but yeah.
Right, right. But you got quite a few lakes. You got quite a few lakes down there. I mean, not as much as we have up here and stuff like that, but yeah.
Well, boy, we had a nice turnout today for a nice day after
We
Christmas, man. It was a great show. A nice variety of Bigfoot goes, and the triangles. And I like doing shows like this, just chatting about all the other things that are going on. It's always a well received show. It always seems to be on the top of the list with popularity. So that's what we do across our boards. We expand a lot of variety, much like Tex is doing that. We all do the same thing. It's not always the same thing and redundant. Everybody turn on your alert bells because we're on 7 days a week pretty much.
Yep.
That way you won't miss the show. And you guys, I'm telling you, those tickets, they're available. They are, they're available. And like Tex says, we're pretty excited at the amount of people that bought tickets. The Ghost Hunt's almost sold out. One last time before we go, Crossing Realms Conference, September 19th and 20th. The link is posted on all of our YouTube pages. We all have it up, and they're also posted on the show descriptions. And so, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, Tex. And I'm looking forward to that Ghost Hunt as well. And meeting everybody here in the chat room that shows
Hey,
up.
Johnny. New
Hello.
subscriber.
Thanks, Johnny. Awesome. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. Text, today is Thursday. You have anything going on Friday? I know the girls are on tonight. The Blondes and Blues are Thursday and Friday.
I will actually.
Are you doing?
I haven't reached out. I may show up on the Blonde Show tonight. I will definitely be on. I'll definitely be showing up in the on what's her name, Monica's show.
Is that tonight? She's on Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Friday night, I don't know yet. Jury's still out. We'll see.
Are you going to be with me and the girls Saturday night at midnight?
Absolutely.
And we're doing a show. Okay, that's what I got next. I got you'll see Tex might drop a night owl. You do the night owl during the week?
Yep.
So Tex, turn on the alert bells, like I said, because we got tons of shows. Next time you'll see me will be Saturday with the girls, and Tex doing a little different late.
Unless I can talk you into doing the show.
Doing what show? Oh, the other one? Show. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll be around. Well, we'll see what's going on. Yeah. You always put out that text. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be around before next week. Oh, but by the way, though, this will be busy because Tex, I don't know if I told you this. I am now I made it to the Fantasy Football Super Bowl.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know what sucks, though? I do love football. You know that. But, man, the guy I'm playing, there's a game on every day starting Wednesday. There was 2 games Wednesday. So, like, one player played, right, from the team. Then there's tonight. There's one guy playing. Then there's Saturday, 3 guys playing. Then Sunday, 2 more guys. So it's not like it's piecemealing this whole game, this fantasy football Super Bowl, and it's going to be concluded on Monday when there's yet another game. So it's
who y'all both have players Monday?
I got Jameer Gibbs from the Lions on Monday, and I've got another good player actually. Oh, and Kittle. So I got Kittle and Jameer Gibbs Monday night.
Does he have any players on Monday?
I don't think he does.
You're going to win.
Well, yeah, because he won't have anybody going.
You're generally it's weird because generally if whoever has the last player playing, it's weird how it works out.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that. That's a great point. It should not be that way, and I hate that when I have nobody on Monday and then my opponent does.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter who the opponent is, huh?
Yeah. Whoever has a Monday night player, and if the other player don't, that's usually the winner.
I got to tell you a quick story. This happened to me twice in the years I've been playing. Twice. In both of these games, Tex, I was up 50 points. 50. Which is a pretty nice lead going into Monday if you have one player, right? And this guy had one player. It was Kyler Murray, okay, who does not score 50 points.
Right.
The guy went off for like 55 fantasy points to beat me on Monday Night Football. Yeah, so it does happen. I had a guy, my brother, God, I feel so bad for my brother. This was about 10 years ago. We do have defenses we pick too. My brother's going into the Super Bowl. Yeah, we're getting rid of it next year, though. Yeah, we're getting rid of that.
Really? Why?
Well, just to get an extra skilled position player. Because defenses,
man.
Yeah, I do. Well, we're a democracy. We'll vote on it. There's 12 of us, so we'll see. But anyway, but my brother, though, why he hates it is he's winning the Super Bowl, and now again another Monday night. He's playing a guy, and all this guy has is a defense. My brother's up 20 points. Now, defenses score between 8 and 12. 12 is like great, right?
Right.
I mean, you're lucky to get 5 or 6. This dude, whatever defense, I don't know who it was playing Monday night. My brother's up 21. Yeah. Hell, if they scored 10 points, that'd be great for them, which would be a great game. Tex, they had like 2 touchdowns and like 10 interceptions, scored 30. They scored more points than the quarterback and took out my brother in the Super Bowl. That is not the way I would want to go down. Not the way to go down, man. Anyway, he was mad for a couple of years on that one. I don't blame him. Thanks to Josh Castro, Maggie, and Obese Tuna for your super stickers and memberships. Thanks for the new folks, Johnny. If you're new, again, please subscribe. So on that note, Tex, I'm going to look for the button, and we'll say goodbye to our lovely people in chat. Thanks to everybody else.
Stay healthy out there. It's cold and flu season.
Yes, it is.
That are feeling poorly. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, my mom's been sick for a month, and I'm still a little bit sick, but I'm getting way better. So, as I think you can tell, my voice finally didn't crackle for the whole hour and 40 minutes here. I found the button, I think, Text. It's under extra. There it is. Love y'all. Have a great rest of your week.